Today, we're going to cover off on a foolproof recipe to obtaining someone's undying love, to get someone emotionally addicted to you and invested in you for the long run. Now, the thing with this recipe, you can use it on multiple people, and once you put in the groundwork, it's pretty low maintenance, which makes it even more frightening.
I just felt like we really connected. Like we could just have so much fun together. He gave me so many compliments. I felt really good about myself. And it was like, this is someone I really want to be around.
Perfect. When I tell you perfect, perfect. Okay. Something you read in a fairy tale. He was perfect.
It's almost like he worshipped me, but it was all a game.
And then he would just wouldn't answer my messages. And it was like, he wanted me when he wanted me.
I felt used because I had lost my virginity to this person, so I felt used. I felt like he got what he wanted and then he left, and then like everything was a lie and he didn't really mean the things that he had said.
Then he came back like nothing happened.
And he would talk about how much I would make him feel loved and how much I would make him feel appreciated. And at that point, I really put him to the wall and I was like, I am rejecting you right now.
After my last video, a lot of people were asking, why do you know so much about toxic mind games? And it's because I did extensive research on them for my book, The Game of Desire, which is all about influence, the science of connection, and psychology. If you're also interested in learning about this topic area, my book is an incredible resource. And might I just say, it has 5 stars on Audible and over 500 reviews. So that's a really great place to learn about influence and how to use it for positive and avoid the negative. You can also just search the term dark psychology on Audible and a bunch of different options will show up and you can start your research there as well. And if you do not know what Audible is, I'm about to put you on some game. Audible is the largest resource of audiobooks on the entire planet, and they also have incredible other tools like audio fitness programs, Audible originals. And if you do not have an Audible membership, I've been a member for 4 years, you're actually in luck, because right now Audible has locked in a price of $6.95 a month for 3 months. That is less than half of what I, for example, pay for my Audible membership. And in addition to this crazy price you're getting, you're also going to get 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals for free. And to capitalize off of this offer that I wish that I could, you're gonna go to audible.com/shanbooty, or if you are in the US, simply text shanbooty to the phone number 500-500. Once again, you can go to audible.com/shanbooty, or my US peeps, just text shanbooty to the phone number 500-500 so you can start listening, learning, and getting up on some game. Dennis theory. And if you're watching this video thinking, hold on a second, is that not that one thing from that one show? Absolutely. Dennis theory was a joke made by a fictional character named Dennis in a TV show called It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But in truth, it is dead smack on. And when you really break it down, you can see how this formula is used in several different areas of life. The true power in knowing the recipe for Dennis theory is not in copying and pasting it to your own life, but in being able to spot the warning signs when people are trying to engage in this kind of relationship with you. That way you can press the stop button and either do one of 2 things. You can exit that situation before it gets ugly for you, or you can address that ugly dead on with somebody else. Because the truth is, not everybody who plays toxic mind games does it because they are a masterful manipulator who want to get the best out of people in the worst possible ways.
Yes!
Sometimes this is just literally how people learn to love and they don't know any better, and that is where you can come in to teach them. But the first step of teaching is acknowledging that what they're doing right now isn't working. So with that being said, let's get into Dennis theory. The D in Dennis theory stands for demonstrate value. And if you are a fan of pickup artistry like I am, you know demonstrate value is a foundational principle that guides pretty much all initial interactions. You want to get together with somebody and almost immediately find a way to make yourself indispensable, interesting, or worth having around. And so demonstrating value might be making someone laugh, teaching them something new, making them feel like they have to win your approval over. It's creating some type of dynamic that makes you someone that they want to be around. The E in Dennis theory is to engage physically. I actually want to adjust that to engage in an investment, because it's not necessarily about having sex really quickly per se, but getting someone to do something that for them is a sign of intimacy. Getting someone to do something that makes them feel like now I have to see an ROI, which is a return on their investment. So yes, for some people, giving it up really quickly makes them feel like, well, I want to make sure that I can justify this action by staying in this relationship longer, so it will cause them to fight longer through some bullshit. Or on the flip side, for some people, they don't really care about that. And so for them, making a financial investment might be that thing that causes them to stay in a relationship longer. Introducing them to family, friends, or maybe their kid might be that thing that they do that makes them feel like, well, I've done this, so now I have to try to make this thing work a little bit longer. Yes, when you engage physically with someone, there is a chance that you guys can create a pair bond through the release of oxytocin, which again might give you that extra boost of connection. But I also think this can be done again through other means. For example, I got into a relationship in my 20s once where the person demonstrated value for me immediately. I was going through a really hard time in my career, in my personal life, and in my pursuit of purpose, and they came in and they acted almost like a career mentor for me. A really hot career mentor was somebody I was attracted to. And instead of engaging physically right away, what they did, which is actually way more meaningful, is they engaged me financially. They had me make a financial investment into them that I wouldn't ordinarily feel comfortable making. And after I had done that, I actually ended up staying in the relationship so much longer, trying to justify why I would do such a stupid thing. N is for nurture dependence. And nurture dependence can be done in one of two ways. It can be done a positive way, where this person, for example, calls you every day after work, so that is the person that you vent to all of the time. They can also nurture dependence by isolating you. So they create a us versus them feel, where they tell you that you can't trust anybody else and you need them for something, whether that be physical connection or love or the honest truth, whatever it is. They create this thing in your mind where you need this person if you want this really important part of yourself satisfied. The next N is where things start to get really dark, and if you've been through this before, it's where things will start to get very familiar for you. N is for neglect emotionally. Neglecting someone after you have made yourself seemingly indispensable to them by fulfilling a need that only you can fulfill works marvelously in two psychologically awful ways. Number one, it presses on the other person's ego. It awakens their inner beast, because nobody wants to admit that one, they're not as great as they think they are, and thus when people get close to them, they tend to recede. Or two, nobody wants to admit that they were conned. So they will actually begin to overinvest to ensure that neither one of those two things could be true. The second way that it works really well is that it creates that inconsistent reward. And as I've said many times, nothing creates an addiction like an inconsistent reward, especially after you have programmed somebody. There was this experiment they did with rats, a maze, and a lever that provided food. So for a number of days, they would have the rat go through the maze, and if they pressed this lever, food would come out. And then the rat would go about its day, explore the maze some more, and if it was hungry, it would go and get food. However, in some cases, after the rat was conditioned to believe the lever provided food, they started to make it so the lever only periodically provided food. And in those cases, they would find that the rat would not be interested in doing anything else other than sitting there and pressing that lever. I'm not sure if rats sit. Standing on its two little legs and pressing that lever the entire time. This again goes to that whole slot machine approach. If you get a reward sometimes, you're more likely to sit there for majority of the time. Versus if you get a reward when you need it, you can then focus on other activities and thus won't find yourself in that addictive pattern and cycle. So by neglecting periodically and pulling back once they've created that pattern in your mind, it's actually going to cause you to obsess even more of getting that person's approval again. And usually when things get to that neglect phase, that is an indicator that the person is starting to see other people. I is for inspire hope. In translation, this is the What are you up to? Text after it's been 5 days of not hearing from that person. And here is why hope in this particular moment in time can be so powerful. The person who is being Dennised on is raw. Now, the risk and reward center of their brain is completely lit up by this interaction. Their ego is clawing for some type of explanation as to why this is happening. And in some cases, your survival may even feel at risk because the other person presented themselves as a need, someone that you need in your life. So when they saunter back over, the littlest bit goes an extremely long way. And the final component in the Dennis recipe is S for separate entirely. And in some ways, that's kind of what I just did to you. Yeah, I left you for so long that it is now nighttime outside where I am. In actual truth, what happened is I was editing the video and I noticed that it was out of focus and it was bothering me, so I didn't want to bother you. So I decided just to go ahead and start to record again, hence the inconsistency. And somebody who is doing Dennis theory on someone else will not do what I just did. They will not explain why there was a lapse or why there has been massive inconsistencies. They will just leave you ghost altogether. And then that leaves the perfect appetite for a sequel because now you are left wondering why, what happened. And so if they decide to pop up and re-engage you in the Dennis cycle all over again, you are primed for the course. So that is it. That is Dennis theory broken down into bits. If you enjoyed this video and like topics like these, I highly suggest that you get an Audible membership so you can start listening to a lot of content about dark psychology, not to mention any other audiobook basically on the planet, which will all be at your fingertips when you sign up for an Audible free trial. But here is the best part. For a limited time only, Audible is offering the price of $6.95 for 3 months, and that is less than half of what a membership usually costs. And in addition to that, you still get your 1 free audiobook and 2 Audible originals as a sign-up bonus. And if this sounds intriguing to you, I urge you to go to audible.com/shanbooty, or for those of you in the US, text the word Shanbooty to the phone number 500-500. And after you sign up for your Audible membership, because it will take you no time at all, go down to the comment section. Let's have a discussion on Dennis theory. Actually, as I was making this video, it occurred to me that Dennis theory is sort of what a lot of contract workers do. If you've ever had your bathroom or floors redone, you know what I'm talking about. The contractor will sell you on this beautiful dream. They will get you to invest some money. They will start the job to a space where you can't technically fire them, and then they'll just start showing up less and less frequently. But I want to hear from you right now. Have you ever experienced something like this in a relationship? Have you heard of it before? Do you think that it holds weight? And finally, do you recognize that you perhaps have been guilty of doing this to someone else?